Hazy, hot, and humid for yet another day. High temps soaring into the 90s when we see some relief.
Plus, multiple buildings catching fire in Lawrence, leaving close to 24 people without a home. And new recommendations for schools on ways to fight anti-Semitism in the classroom. NBC 10 Boston News at 11 starts right now. All right, it is a very busy morning in our newsroom right now. So let's get you started with breaking news. This is out of Hyde Park. As we speak, happening now. We've learned 2 people, a man and a woman, have been shot. Sky Ranger was over this scene on Faraday Street just a few minutes ago. In case you're not familiar with this area, or even if you are, this is right by the Moynihan Playground and the FDR K-8. This is their upper school campus for the FDR school. So again, Faraday Street in Hyde Park. Now, other details still very limited, but we know the gunshot victims, a man and a woman, as I said, they were taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Now, police aren't releasing their identities at this point. They're not telling us whether any arrests have been made. We do know the homicide unit is responding at this point, so that tells you how important police believe this is. We're going to keep you updated on the conditions of those victims as we get it into the newsroom. But again, this is on Faraday Street in Hyde Park, just near the Moynihan Playground. Now let's go to Revere for more breaking news we're following right now. We're seeing a separate huge police response in Revere. You can actually see the state troopers standing on the beach, and you can see they've cordoned off the area with orange cones. These are live pictures coming at us right now. They've blocked off the area. Police and state troopers have blocked off an area along the shore and in the water with those orange cones. You can see they have a crime scene tape essentially strung between those cones. And as we zoom in, there is someone in the water right now walking up towards those officers. The state police boat is responding to this. We are getting reports that it is an unattended body, meaning, or an unattended death, excuse me, and that typically means they have found a body there in the water. We're going to keep you updated on both of these breaking stories throughout the day right here on NBC 10 Boston, of course, on our free NBC 10 app as well. So stay with us on both of those. Again, there is breaking news out of Revere Beach of an unattended death. So they have likely found a body there in the water, and also a double shooting in Hyde Park, right by the Moynihan Playground. All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us on this very busy news morning. I'm Melody Mendez. So look, it's another hot, humid day out there. That is the biggest headline of the day, is this heat wave that we are now right in the thick of. This is a live look outside. Beautiful blue skies. Changes are in store, though, for the rest of the week. That's the good news. Meteorologist Pamela Gardner, let's get right to it. I know we're in the midst of this heat wave, but we do have a relief coming. Can you say that?
Thankfully, yes, we do, but it takes a couple of days, Melody, until we see high temperatures in the 70s. But with all this heat and humidity, the heat specifically really heats things up quickly outside. 90 degrees for your ambient air temperature, and that direct sun angle, all of a sudden asphalt heats up to about 140 degrees. Concrete at 125, and the grass heats up to 105 degrees. And this is enough to burn the bottom of your dog's paws. Something to keep in mind as you're out and about today. The dog paws can burn in about 5 minutes or less with a temperature of 120 degrees, surface temp of 140, 1 minute or less. And that goes also for kids. I know my kids always love to run around outside with no shoes on, but my goodness, it's just a little too hot for our kids and for our furry friends. As we look at the temperatures right now, we're in the 70s, we're in the 80s, 81 degrees in Bedford, 77 in Chatham with a south wind, and that's transporting in some tropical air. We're 70 in Boston, 70 Plymouth. It's a soupy air mass in place. Feels already hotter by a couple more degrees. We get up to 89 by 2 p.m., mix of clouds and clear skies. Then at any point after 2 p.m., there's a chance to see some thunderstorms and showers developing, but really holding off across the shore until late tonight if they hold together. So most of us dealing with the heat and humidity. For example, 93 degrees in Norwood, feeling like 95. And those storms and showers looming to our west. They won't arrive until later tonight, but when they do, they could become strong with damaging wind and heavy rain as the biggest threats. I'll have more on the hour-by-hour timing, and when we see some relief, some 70s in your 10-day.
Oh, 70s are going to feel darn good. Pamela, thank you. Okay, let's get to it. Firefighters this morning battling this house fire in Medford. Look at those flames. This was at about 6:30 on Fern Road. You could see the flames shooting from the roof of that home and then black smoke billowing into the air. The fire is out for the most part, but the fire department was able to tell us that 6 children and 5 adults managed to escape from that home, thankfully. Now, 2 families were inside and some visitors at the time of the fire. We did learn a dog has died. Firefighters say it appears the fire started in the back of the building. It's still too early for them to determine a cause, but they can determine a location. Meantime, fire crews stayed on the scene throughout this morning in Lawrence after a massive fire there. Just look at the damage here. It started in one building and quickly spread to 4 others. Manash Kungwari has the latest now from the scene. All right, let's get to the latest now on the war in Ukraine. So President Trump this morning, in fact, just moments ago, spoke with leaders in Europe ahead of his meeting with Vladimir Putin Friday. In fact, just moments ago, we know that European leaders met and spoke publicly, saying they just hung up the phone with Trump. So these European leaders, including Vladimir Zelensky, holding this press conference after the call, they essentially saying they wanted to make sure they were heard ahead of Trump's scheduled meeting with Vladimir Putin on Friday. So the leaders here laying out what's important to them, essentially saying that security interests of Europe and Ukraine must be protected. They also said that Ukrainian president, the man you see here, Volodymyr Zelensky, needs to be at the table if there are any follow-up meeting. There had been a lot of concern regarding this meeting between Trump and Putin, the fact that Zelensky was not invited to be there. Listen, they said that if he is serious about ending the war, Putin that is, Trump's going in to try to find out. The war now in its 4th year. He has suggested that both sides will have to cede land in order to stop the fighting. That is something that is a non-starter for Ukraine. So the president, again, set to meet with Vladimir Putin on Friday. Okay, now, speaking of President Trump, very soon, any minute now, he is going to be here locally visiting the Kennedy Center. The same day recipients of this year's honors are announced. So listen, he avoided the center during his first term, but Trump has taken over as the Kennedy Center's new chairman and fired existing board members. And in a post last night, Trump teased a potential name change for the Performing Arts Center. Now, this comes as, of course, there have been all eyes on our nation's capital because National Guard troops are now in the Capitol. President Trump invoking something called the Home Rule Act on Monday. This essentially allows the president to take command of D.C. law enforcement for 30 days without having to get any congressional approval. Now, no president has ever done this before. Trump says the city is one of the world's most dangerous. But by his own FBI's account, the district is seeing its lowest violent crime stats in 30 years. Now, Governor Maura Healey is weighing in, saying she disagrees with the decision. Listen.
National Guardsmen have full-time jobs, so you're taking people away from their day jobs as police officers, as firefighters, working elsewhere, right? And you're putting them into a city that doesn't need the help, didn't request the help, and crime's going down in D.C.
Now, the governor also pointed out the considerable cost to taxpayers when calling up the Guard. Meantime, a senior White House official has confirmed to NBC News that the Trump administration is close to reaching a $500 million settlement with Harvard. The official says while the framework for this deal is done, there are still some pieces that need to be negotiated. It could still, they say, take weeks to figure out. Harvard, for its part, has not responded to our requests for comment. All right, ahead of the start of the school year, a state commission has unanimously approved new recommendations for K-12 schools. It's meant to combat anti-Semitism in our school classrooms. Our Lauren Melendez has details on what's included specifically in these recommendations. All right, Lauren, thank you for that. Okay, we're going to be right back after the break with more news and weather. Stay with us.